In other news tonight, Cincinnati police are sharing body camera video of the moments that led to an officer-involved shooting and killing of a suspect in East Price Hill.
And WLWT News 5's Danielle Dindak has been leading the way on this investigation for us. She's live right now, walking us through the video. Hi, Danielle.
Hi there, Mike. This video is very fast. We're talking about 6 seconds. 6 seconds from the time that officer got out of his vehicle and fired those shots. I do want to warn you, what you're about to watch could be hard to see.
He's got a gun! He's got a gun! On your right! On your right!
In the matter of seconds, it all began with a stolen vehicle, a Kia from Edgewood, Kentucky. GPS tracking led the investigation here, a condo complex in East Price Hill. Officers arrived, and Chief Terry Thege explains what happened next.
All four individuals get out and start running.
On your right! On your right!
Some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand.
At some point, the person with the gun slips.
They heard the metal from the firearm hit the concrete. This individual gets up, still has the firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters.
The officer who fired the shots was chasing another suspect before he made contact with the armed suspect.
The officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the officer. And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
4 to 5 rounds were fired. The suspect was hit twice, given medical care right away, and died. Thege says this is the gun the suspect had. A semi-automatic with an extended magazine, with another magazine in his pocket.
Let me be very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic.
Police also told us that a stolen gun was found inside that stolen Kia. At this time, we still do not have the identity of the person who was shot and killed. All police could tell us is that he was approximately 18 years old. Reporting live in East Price Hill tonight, Danielle Dindak, WLWT News 5.
Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. Happy Saturday. I am Joseph Ward, bringing you some more Negro news. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're having a good Saturday. I'm 30 minutes later than last Saturday because I had to work this Saturday. I was working a church event, going out, trying to make sure we take care of our community. So it was an event on the south side of Tallahassee. That's one of our areas that is in dire need of all the resources they can get. So I was out there making sure that they get the resources they need. We had a little mini health fair, so we was out there doing our thing. So I wanted to make sure I get time, get home, and get everything together. It was hot as mug out there too. I was like, Greg Lee, I was burning up. But welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are getting deeper into this Rodney Hinton Jr. case, learning more about his son, Ryan Hinton, and the incident with the officer. And we're also learning more about what's going on actually with Ryan Hinton and details that has to do with the case. And what brought us here is the story of Rodney Hinton wasn't driving. And so that is a narrative that is out there, that Rodney Hinton was not the driver of the vehicle. So we're trying to figure out who the actual driver of the vehicle, if that narrative is actually true. Now, I found some information that does not validate that information. Now, you see the gentleman on the screen, you see the video on the screen. He's gonna take us into the narrative about Rodney Hinton not driving. We're gonna get into that. But first, I want to start off with what kicked off everything. You know, the shooting of his son by the police officer. But before we get into it, man, make sure y'all hit that like button. Please hit that like button for me. Comment, subscribe, and share this video. Y'all already know what Joe Biden said. Hit that like button, because if you don't hit that like button, then you ain't supporting this stuff. And it's free. It's free support. It helps us get out more. It helps the algorithm, and it makes sure that we're able to grow. So yeah. What's up, Chisel Chipper 68? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So going back to what we were looking at, right? We were looking at body cam footage of Ryan Hinton Jr., the son. He, in the incident that he had with the officers. So basically, he and the gentleman were in the car that was said to be a stolen vehicle, and they had the guns in their hand, and they were fleeing from the police. And the original story that was put out was Ryan Hinton pointed the gun at the officer. That's why the officer discharged his weapon. So let's look at that video. Let's look at this one more time. I'm gonna run this story back, but let's look at it one more time because they're showing what happened from the body cam footage. We're not getting everything, but we're getting a little bit. So let's look at it one more time, make sure we know what we're looking at.
In other news tonight, Cincinnati police are sharing body camera video of the moments that led to an officer-involved shooting and killing of a suspect in East Price Hill.
And WLWT News 5's Danielle Dindak has been leading the way on this investigation for us. She's live right now, walking us through the video. Hi, Danielle.
Hi there, Mike. This video is very fast. We're talking about 6 seconds. 6 seconds from the time that officer got out of his vehicle and fired those shots. I do want to warn you, what you're about to watch could be hard to see.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun on your right. On your right.
In a matter of seconds. It all began with a stolen vehicle, a Kia from Edgewood, Kentucky. GPS tracking led the investigation here, a condo complex in East Price Hill. Officers arrived, and Chief Terry Thiegy explains what happened next.
All four individuals get out and start running.
On your right. On your right.
So
Some in different directions.
And so Ryan Hinton is supposed to be on the right of the garbage cans.
So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue.
So this is another young man, the young man up here. This is another young man that the officers were chasing that was in the car with Ryan Hinton. And Ryan Hinton is on the other side of the garbage can.
One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand.
At some point.
So this is what they're saying. Ryan Hinton is on the ground with the gun in his hand. That's what they're saying. The black object in his hand. That's what they're saying, that this is the gun. They're saying he slipped and fell and was startled by the police officer, and the gun is visible in his hand. That's what they're saying.
The person with the gun slips.
They heard the metal from the firearm hit the concrete. This individual gets up, still has the firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpster.
I don't see a gun being pointed at an officer. Let me go back a little bit, but I don't see a gun being pointed at an officer.
And continues to run through the dumpster.
Let me try it one more time. See if I can
Still has the firearm in his hand and continues to run through the dumpster.
Can't really see, it's kind of dark. Can't really, even right here, you can't see a gun being pointed. Now that was the original claim, that they say Ryan Hinton pointed the gun at the officer. That's why the officer discharged his vehicle, discharged his firearm, because Ryan Hinton pointed the gun at the officer. Now, I don't see that. Maybe somebody's seeing something different, but I don't see that. But I also know that in these situations, they can choose how they would like to apprehend the suspect, right? And so I was watching something earlier, because I've been watching videos all week of people from different realms and getting their perspective on this case, right? And so I've heard former officers say that they would have done the same thing in that situation, because how they explain it is with him running with the gun in his hand, and there's an officer in front of him pursuing the other young man, that the officer could be in danger, so he would discharge his firearm. And so that's what I've heard other officers, especially black men, say that. Now, of course, them being black don't mean nothing, but I've just been listening for different perspectives on this and why or what they have done this and what would bring this about. And what we see is there's just that different perspectives. There are people who say that they could have done it different. There are people who say that they done the right thing. But I know what we've been told was the officer felt like his life was in danger, as if the gun was pointed at him. And from that, I can't tell that. I can't tell that. Ryan Hinton wasn't a suspect until they made him one. What you mean by that? Well, what you mean? Like, give me a little more detail on that, because just to help me understand what you're saying with that, because I want to make sure that we understand what you're saying fully. What it is, Tiffany, what's going on out there? I appreciate you already know that. I appreciate you tuning in to me. You already know. So, once again, this is what is the precursor to the Rodney Hinton Jr. fiasco that led to an officer being taken out. You know, last Saturday, I'm live, and a lot of people were saying that Rodney Hinton wasn't the driver. And gotcha. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think, from what I'm seeing, I don't think he was a threat. I agree with you. I don't think Ryan Hinton was an actual threat to the officer. I think he could have been apprehended in another way. You know, we talked about that last week. Now, the crime that they committed, we can't justify that. We can't say nothing about that. But the way in which this all played out, well, this thing led to another thing, right? And I do agree. Like, he was fleeing away from the officers, and I'm gonna blow it up. I don't see a gun being pointed, and I do, like you say, I see he's fleeing. He's going away from the officers. You can see it right here on this left side. So, but let's let the story go. Well, we did get to the end of that, but I want to transition into what's going on with Rodney Hinton and what they are saying on the internet, because now, once again, we know what came out of all of this. An officer is dead. Rodney Hinton Jr. is in police custody, and everything is just going down the way it's going down. So let's let this brother tell us what's going on.
Praises to the Most High. And we're going to skip the preliminaries, this videos, and get right into the proceedings. An eyewitness has come forth to confirm what I told you earlier this week, that Rodney Hinton was not the driver of the vehicle that killed the deputy in Cincinnati, Ohio. I want y'all to take a look at this right here. This is a Facebook post, and you see LaShawn Hankerson, and she is the eyewitness who saw it. You see her reply, "I promise to God I made a post, and everything, the man was unconscious in the passenger seat, and it was an older lady driving. They kept asking who the driver was. She kept hysterically crying and falling out like she was in shock. She did that. They are trying to do that man in. I literally tried to get him out the car. He was stuck and not clean out, airbags out and all." And I'm going to show you another couple of posts from that same Facebook thread. Now, remember last week I told you that I received some inside information from a couple of sources that said there was a lady driving that vehicle that killed the deputy in Cincinnati after Rodney Hinton Jr. left the police department. Now, this post also pokes holes in the DA's, the police, the sheriff's theory and their timeline that they released to the public after indicting him on the charges and saying that they were going to seek the death penalty for our young brother. Now, after LaShawn made this post, the girl asked her, "Look, why don't you go down there and tell them what you saw?" And this is her response. "No love, Tila. If they aren't using cameras for evidence, they sure TF aren't going to listen to a black woman with a record. It was several of us right there that witnessed this ish. They didn't even care about the dude in the car. Me and one other lady was trying to help him. They didn't care about the black dude, only the officer. And again, I'm going to show you her original post. But remember, this happened supposedly by the University of Cincinnati during graduation time, whatever. And she made a valid point. If all of this happened, where are the cameras? Where are the stoplight cameras? Where are the cameras from the associated business or the business in close proximity? Where are the satellite cameras? All of these times that we see accidents and people running from the police and accidents at traffic stops and people running people over, there's always video footage. Why is there no video footage of this accident? Like, there is no coverage even after the accident. You know, when the ambulances are out there, only thing they are showing you is that still picture of the car and the crash. They are no showing you no ambulance footage, no getting people out of the cars. Think about it. This makes what my information given me totally true. Because
all right, the young lady, LaShawn, on Facebook said that she was an eyewitness and that an elderly lady was driving the car and Rodney Hinton was in the passenger seat. So it seems like this gentleman may believe what LaShawn is saying. I don't know yet because I'm still looking for more information. But I do have a statement from his lawyer, from Rodney Hinton's lawyer, about what has gone down. So William, you have a great point. I don't see a lot of grainy police video, and that's one of the first thoughts that I had when I saw that. It's like, well, you can't really tell exactly what's in the hand of the person in this video. And I watch a lot of police cam video on YouTube, and we've seen hella police cam video throughout our lives, and that's some of the worst quality police cam video that I've seen, because I'm used to seeing better quality, and it is real grainy. So you do got a point. You do got a point there. I got to give it to you. You do have a point there. So but with Rodney Hinton, that's the narrative that's out there. That's one of the kind of narratives that Rodney Hinton was not driving the car. So now the gentleman on the screen, he does also have a point because we have not seen any footage of the incident with Rodney Hinton and the police officer. We haven't seen any video footage. We know that video footage exists. Cameras are everywhere. We know that. So we haven't seen it. Now, as far as the narrative, I can't say that the narrative is true. I don't have any evidence to say that that particular narrative of Rodney Hinton Jr. wasn't driving. I haven't found any information to validate that narrative, but the narrative is out there. And the narrative originated from the young lady, LaShawn, that was on Facebook, who she said she was an eyewitness to what happened and that Rodney Hinton was not the driver. Now, we do know that Rodney Hinton, when he saw the footage of what happened to his son, when he left the place where he saw the footage, his family was behind him. His family was trailing him. I haven't seen anybody from his camp to validate that he was not driving. Once again, even the lawyer. I'm going to show you some footage from an interview with the lawyer that is not necessarily validating that Rodney Hinton was not the driver. So, blessings to you, brother. If the officer was in danger, why would he try to pursue a threat and not report the gun? The only shots fired were by the officer and was out of line. Yeah, the officer didn't have to do it. The officer could have done something different. There is a different way of doing it. I mean, we see white people with guns that are pointing at officers be apprehended safely all the time. We do. So I'm not buying everything in this case. I will say that. I'm not buying everything in this case that they're saying. I think it's a lot of foul play in this case. It's a lot of foul play in this case. We just have to make sure we get a lot more evidence. Because I'm not one to just jump off and jump onto a narrative, but I'm like, as the information start coming out, then we can start piecing this puzzle together. But let's listen more what his brother got to say.
Because once again, why they're not showing anything but a narrative. And this is the original post that the young lady put up. Now, I think this has since been taken down. She said, I was literally right there with my effing kids in the car, I assume, with me. I got out to help once I seen I could not do anything. I started crying, and this other lady was praying and grabbed my arm and wrist, and we both started praying while looking at the sheriff, and it was an old lady driving, not no dude. They are lying. This is sad. Now, this is her sharing the post of, that news post that highlighted the crash. Look at that. That's all we have seen. Now, mind you, this is probably from a video. This still shot is in the air. So this is probably from a video, a stop camera light, a satellite video. So why are they not, we have to ask ourselves, why are they not showing us any video proof of the accident? Now, she also corroborates. The other day, I think it was yesterday, I showed the video where the young brother, Rodney Hinton Jr., was walking into the police station. You see him getting out of the car. He's in a hospital gown. He's blurry. He's incoherent. He literally tells the officers, where am I? Where am I? And he's currently charged with something that he was literally a passer.
Yeah. I'm not going to, like I said earlier, when I first saw that body cam footage, I was like, this is some trash body cam footage. Like, they really put out this trash body cam footage? Like, it couldn't be better? Because I'm used to seeing better body cam footage. I'm used to seeing like officers like really getting at it, running, people pewing at each other, like rolling around, all types of stuff. Like I've seen some officers in the mix with the body cam footage was better than that. So yeah, like that's different.
Passenger in the car. Now also, this collaborates, or this proves that what they are saying in their newly released timeline, that they are lying, because it contradicts what they're saying, that what they've said at the beginning of the whole ordeal. Now, you remember the beginning, they told us that Rodney Hinton went to the police department. He watched the video, he got upset and left the building, and no one ever saw him until they got word of the crash. Now go back and watch the original news articles about this. That is what they said. But this is what they said about 2 days ago when they indicted him for the charge. It says 9:33 a.m. Hinton arrived at the police department. 9:51, Hinton got upset and left the building. 10:37, Hinton left with family members.
And hold up, I want to give a shout out to Renee Lampkin for sending me this video. Appreciate you, because this is good, and this is a good piece of why we are here and the narratives and everything that's out there. So thank you for sending me that video. And for anybody, if you want to send me some videos, you can send it to my email at ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. I put it in the chat. But we're just trying to make sure we get all the information that we can get our hands on. Any piece of information, all the information is good information, right? Because now we're seeing what's really happening and what's going on. And if pieces of the puzzle are missing, it's hard to really see it clearly, right? So we're going to give people room to say what they need to say. And we're not saying that people may not. At this point, we're going to collect all the information, then sift through the information once we collect it. So let's get this information, right? So let's let the brother keep talking.
Instead of his own car, which he drove there. 12:41, which is about an hour and a half later, Hinton returned to pick up his car. Hinton left. Hinton returned to the police department and drove through the parking lot. How do you know that was Hinton driving, right? 12:50, Hinton left again and headed towards.
Now, Battle Axe, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, but we're going to let his lawyer, we're going to let Rodney Hinton's lawyer talk about his state, his mental state, or his emotional state after he saw the video. So we're going to let his lawyer tell us about that.
University of Cincinnati campus with his family following him the entire way. Now, mind you, once again, if you go back to the first videos of this incident, they said Hinton left the police department and nobody heard from him. Listen, like, one thing about a lie, you have to continuously change and keep up with the lie to make that lie outlive.
Well, see, now the brother just said that he left the police. Well, I guess the brother saying the original story is Rodney Hinton left the police station and was by itself. I can't confirm that. I know some of the earlier stories I heard was Rodney Hinton left the police station and the police and his family was behind him.
The truth. Apparently, this lie is not going to outlive the truth. Remember, they said Hinton left the meeting, was so distraught, and nobody ever heard from him since the time of this accident. But here they're telling you he left with a family member, he came back, he left again, he walked out the street.
And remember, the information that I have is he left, he was in one car and his family members was in the car trailing him. That's the information. To be clear, Rodney Hinton, the information that I came across is Rodney Hinton was in a car, the lead car, and family members was in the car trailing him. So it's a lot of narratives out here.
He drove around the parking lot. He left his car. He returned it. None of this was said before. You see how they are trying to create the narrative as they go. Pretty much, I'm white and I say so. This is what happened, regardless of how many people are saying. And once again, I'm going to show you the actual page. Look at this actual page now. And y'all see this. Let me see. I'm gonna minimize myself so y'all can see it in its entirety. Now, this is an actual Facebook page, LaShawn Hankerson. Now, it looks like she have deleted her page, but this is said, so they're covering up. Listen, I was literally right there with my child in the car. I got out to help once I seen I couldn't do anything. I started crying, and this other lady was praying and grabbed my arm and wrist, and we both started praying while looking at the sheriff, and it was an old lady driving, not no dude. They are lying. And here's somebody else referencing what she's saying. Look at his face. As she mentioned, the airbags hit him. Look at the top and the right side of his face. The airbags come out on the right side if you are on the passenger side. And so this is what I mean by the media lying and creating narratives. If this accident was so horrific, where is all the video footage of the ambulance on the scene, police on the scene, the white sheets, the yellow? None of that has occurred, right? Why are they hiding the actual footage from the scene? There is no coverage of this incident on the scene except the picture that you see everywhere, just a crash car. And it's the same thing that they are doing with Ryan Hinton.
Well, so from what I've gathered about the LaShawn Hankerson person is nobody has been able to confirm if she was an actual eyewitness. And that's the only issue with the LaShawn Hankerson narrative is the only thing we have is the Facebook post. And there's nothing to back up the Facebook post. And there are people who believe what she's saying, but no concrete evidence has been able to be presented to say that LaShawn is not lying, that LaShawn was actually an eyewitness there. So that's the only thing. I've seen other videos of people who some people have alluded to her maybe having mental health issues. I'm not getting into all that, but all I know is I personally haven't come across any information to validate what LaShawn is saying. Now, if you or anybody else have that information, please let's share it. These are the mental gymnastics.
They're stopping and stealing the frames. They're showing the picture. The only live footage that they're showing you is the officer running up right before he quote unquote shot out young brother. They're stealing the camera while the young boy's laying down the gun. Oh, this is where he stopped and tripped and he got back up and he picked up the gun. No, don't tell us what happened. Show us the video so we can determine that for ourselves. So this is breaking. Somebody just sent me this last night. You see, I'm out of my element, but I still had to do this because once again, they are trying to railroad my brother. And you can tell that they know. If you listen to that lady in the press conference the other day, that DA, she's just, well, he came and, he come and, even even when they're trying to charge him with 2 counts of aggravated murder for the chain charges, not 2 different counts like aggravated murder or involuntary manslaughter or murder in the first degree. No, they charge him with 2 counts of the same charge. That means there are 2 deaths. And, according to the person I received, that lady who was allegedly driving the vehicle has since passed. But they are using our brother as a scapegoat, and that's.
I don't know of any evidence to prove that an elderly lady was driving the car. I don't know of any information that. So let me do this. Take this off. Let me share my screen. Take it to Rodney Hinton Jr.'s lawyer, and we're going to allow Rodney Hinton Jr.'s lawyer tell us a bit about what happened that day.
Based off the information he gathered. But I'm going to let the lawyer tell you, and we're going to break that down. Let's get to it.
So ahead of the indictment, I sat down for a one-on-one interview with Hinton's defense attorney, Clyde Bennett. We talked about everything from the deadly shooting of Hinton's son and his mental state at the time of the deadly crash to Bennett taking him on as a client.
What was going on with him when he was behind the wheel? Is it your contention that, do you admit that he was behind the wheel? Because officers said that he was behind the wheel. There's video of him behind the wheel, and that they took him out and in fact triple checked to make sure that he was the one that was behind the wheel.
Based on my acquaintance with this case, it appears that he was a person that was driving a car.
Okay.
Yes.
In mental capacity, where was he?
He was out of his mind. He was not in his right mind. Let me spell that out. That means that I'm doing something.
All right, hey, look, I'm gonna play it again because I don't know if people heard that in the back. I don't know if the people in the back heard that, right? Based on what he gathered and what he knows, he was the driver of the car. And then the lady that's doing the interview stated that the police say they have video evidence, which we all seen about their video evidence. I know that makes everybody skeptical. It makes me skeptical too. We seen the video evidence that they like to portray and put out in their press conference, and it doesn't look very good. I understand that, right? But she stated that they say they have video evidence, and he said, from what I believe, yes, he was the sole driver of the car. This is his lawyer speaking, and he is going to tell you some other things a little later on that is very interesting as well as to why I believe that he was the driver. And this is basically off the lawyer and what he had said he's going to basically use for court in his defense, which is that he was mentally incapable of knowing right from wrong at that moment. He was in a fit of rage. He was in his feelings. He did not know what he was actually doing and the consequences of his acts. That is what he is going for with the insanity plea. I said they should have used the crime of passion, which is temporarily insanity, but it's all the same umbrella. So let's keep going. I'm gonna go back a little bit and play that for the people in the back who probably didn't hear it.
Are you driving way less than you used to? Do you have a clean driving record? Are you over 25? Do you know?
When he was behind the wheel. Is it your contention that, do you admit that he was behind the wheel? Because officers said that he was behind the wheel. There's video of him behind the wheel, and that they took him out and in fact triple checked to make sure that he was the one that was behind the wheel.
Based on my acquaintance with this case, it appears that he was a person that was driving a car.
Okay.
Yes.
In mental capacity, where was he?
He was out of his mind. He was not in his right mind. Let me spell that out. That means that I'm doing something, but I don't know the wrongfulness of what I'm doing because I'm out of touch with reality. That's what insanity is. You can be insane and still present like a physically normal person, and you won't know that that person is insane, but for their actions and but for an evaluation of their brain. This man had a diagnosed, documented mental illness that is recognized by healthcare providers, and he received the medication for the mental diagnoses. That constitutes a defect at this point.
So this is going to be not guilty by reason of insanity?
So he has a documented mental illness? He has a documented mental illness. Like I said, it ain't what you know or what you believe, it's what you can prove in court, right? His lawyer seems as though he is very prepared for this mental illness defense. He's a documented mental patient, right? Now, he take medication for it. If they can say that I'm quite sure they probably say he was off his meds. He didn't take his meds when he was supposed to. Like,
but so that was Hinton's lawyer giving this spiel. So basically they're going to use, it's like he's going to use the angle of insanity, because he says, according to the lawyer, Rodney Hinton Jr. has a documented mental illness, and the lawyer is saying that Rodney Hinton was the driver of the car, and the mental illness, it existed. He saw the video of his son and he went overboard. So LL said, if you was him, you'd be changing the attorney immediately. I mean, I guess they're going off of what they got, I'm guessing. That's all I can say. Aaron, say you damn right. The trial, they will have to show who was driving in those videos. We better not see grainy video. The other person in the car died. So that's the narrative. That's the narrative. Now, we do need to see that video. They say it's video present. Why haven't we seen the video of Hinton driving the car into the officer? We've yet to see that. They've released everything else, but we've yet to see that. And that's a good question. Why haven't we seen that video? So all I'm trying to do is put all the information out, and so we could come to a conclusion, a good conclusion, the right conclusion, get the facts on the table. But that's what the lawyer is saying. So what the lawyer is saying is totally different from what LaShawn Hankerson was saying. So according to LaShawn Hankerson, she was the eyewitness. She was an eyewitness to the crash, Rodney Hinton crashing to the officer. And from her account that she was posting on Facebook, and from my understanding, I think I'm saying that account doesn't exist anymore, but from what she was saying on Facebook, that Rodney wasn't the driver, an old lady was the driver. Now, the lawyer is saying he was the driver and he was not in his right mind because he had a pre-existing mental health condition. So
I believe that they have not put him under the jail, and I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that literally. That's why they haven't buried him under the jail for being the cause of one of their fellow officers' death. I think everybody knows that. Everybody knows, and you can tell in the press conference, they look at their eyes. Just look at their eyes and how soulless they are, because they are making and loving a lie. As Revelation 22:15 states, outside the city, outside the people of God, are murderers, fornicators, sorcerers, sorcery, witchcraft. This is what they're using to play with our mind. Dogs, and those who make it and love it a lie. So this, once again, shout out to LaShawn Hankerson. If you're watching this program, I know you see it, feel free to call me. We can do an interview online, offline, faceless or faceless. But I think, since this has happened, you see, that it looks like, that page has been deactivated. Now, we all know how they neutralize witnesses. As I mentioned with the eyewitness that saw Ryan Hinton lay down the gun before he was shot, he said he called the police station and was like, hey, yeah, I saw what happened. He didn't have a gun. He laid the gun down. And they're trying to get him to come in and interrogate him like he had something to do with it. That's the way he said that they made him feel. And so since then, he was like, nah, I'm not coming down there. Who can I talk to besides y'all? Because once again, we know that the police lie. We know that they protect their own. We know that they create narratives. They plant guns. They create stories. They neutralize witnesses. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is history. This is documented history throughout time. They have covered up. They have lied. They have misrepresented reports. They have done all of these things. So this is another instance. Once again, we got to pray for our brother, because when you can see it in that, like, he doesn't know where he is. And according to this witness, once again, I'm going to show it to you again. I promised to God I made a post.
I promised to God I made a post on everything. The man was unconscious in the passenger seat, and it was an older lady driving. They kept asking who the driver was. She kept hysterically crying and falling out like she was in shock. She did that. They are trying to do that man in. I literally tried to get him out of the car. He was stuck and not clean out. Airbags out and all. Okay. So they could tell us anything. His lawyer said it appeared that he was driving the car. It looks like someone is getting paid to shut up. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. We're going to see. I'm not going to say if it is or isn't, because that's just how I work. I just like to have a lot more evidence. I'm not saying somebody is telling the truth. I'm not saying somebody ain't telling the truth. But this is the information that we are coming across. This is the narratives that are out there. These are all the things that are surrounding this Rodney Hinton case. There's a lot of foul play going on. We know if you act like ain't no foul play going on in this case, then you ain't looking at this case. And I don't know what you're trying to be. If you can look at everything that has happened that has brought us here, it is some foul play that is going on. So that cannot be denied. But it's just how I work personally. I want them facts, them hardcore facts, to make sure that this is what it is, and bam, and then bam, we know what we're working with. So let's look.
That man was unconscious in the passenger seat. Once again, why is there no camera footage of the after effects of the accident? Never in a million years you don't see any live footage of the accident. People walking around, people crying, oh my God, them talking to witness. I saw it come across the street. Where is all of that? Y'all take this information and do what you will with it. But as always, Ephesians 5:11, take no part in the works of darkness, rather expose them, for it's a shame to even speak of the things that they do in secret. Another scripture says, all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and all things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop. This is what we plan to continue to do. As always, you see my number 919-587-7782. Peace and blessings.
We had a...
So that was wrong button. That was the information that was sent to me. Damn, keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Be messing up in these lives. Struggle streaming over here. But that was the information sent to me from Renee. That was the video rather sent to me from Renee. Shout out to Renee for sending the video of this brother putting us up on what LaShawn Hankerson put on Facebook. So you have a narrative from LaShawn Hankerson, then you have the narrative from the lawyer. There's more information to come out. More information needs to come out. Where is the damn video from the incident? Where's the video? Why is it taking it so long for the video to come out? What information does the lawyer have that makes them go the route that they're going with wanting to have the insanity plea? Because We heard what the lawyer said. The lawyer said that they're going to take the insanity plea because he said they believe that Rodney Hinton was driving the car and that he was out of his mind. So what information does the lawyer have to make him make that conclusion? That's what I want to know. And of course, we know over time that'll come out, but I want to know right now. I want to know right now, because when I was watching it, that's what I was thinking is, well, what would make him make that plea? Because I wasn't sure if they was going to go with a temporary insanity plea or they were going to go with a total insanity plea, or if they were going to try to go that route at all. I wasn't sure. And I was looking to see. That's why I'm glad I came across the brother's video that was showing the lawyer talking about the Rodney Hinton case. And that was the 1250 podcast. So shout out to the brother at the 1250 podcast for having that information right there. So we got what the lawyer is saying. What do we do with the information? So process it though, right? Look at all the information from all of the angles. We know the history of policing in America. We know the history of how they treat Black people in America. We know the history of how Black people have been framed in America. We know the history of how Black people have been thrown under the jail in America. Like, we know the overall objective of the race soldiers versus Black America. We know how that ordeal always goes. We know that. So why is this situation any different, Ralph? Why is this Rodney Hinton situation one where a Black man is not just being railroaded by the system? Of course, now, because let's say the narrative of an old lady is driving is true. So let's say that is true. Where's the old lady? Where's her body? Why isn't anybody else, even any other family members, saying anything about the lady that was driving, especially if they were following the car? Nobody from the family side is saying anything about a lady. So, but let's say that is true, then why isn't the family talking about that? Why isn't the family screaming that? Why haven't they already come out and said, no, he was not the driver. This person was driving the car. Why? Because let's say ask yourself, would Rodney Hinton be able to use temporary insanity? Is there another instant I'm not aware of that a Black man would have to use? I'm not. I have, and that's William. Great question. That's a real great question, because that's something I would have to look into more. How many Black people were able to really use something like that and get away? We know white people have been able to do that, use temporary insanity, but how many Black people have been able to use the temporary insanity and getting rid of that? But back to what I was saying though. If the narrative is true that a lady was driving this car and the family knew who was in the car with Rodney, why are they silent? Could this be something bigger than what we know? If that narrative is true. Well, let's say the narrative of Rodney was driving. So if that narrative of Rodney was driving, then what, between the time that he saw the video and between the time of him striking the officer, what was his mental state? Now, the lawyer is saying temporary insanity. Temporary insanity. Well, you saying rat on an elder? I mean, just being old don't make you an elder. Like, just being old don't make you an elder. That just means you're an older person. But if an older person was actually driving that car, now, especially Rodney's family, why wouldn't Rodney's family say anything? Especially if they're trying to protect Rodney. If Rodney is actually innocent, he didn't do it, he wasn't the driver, why wouldn't the family say anything? Especially the family. What does that have to do with the person's age? And being old don't make you an elder. The fruits of your labor is what make you an elder. So, you know, I mean, I hear you, but the fruits of your labor is what make you an elder. And if Rodney is actually innocent, why let him go down? It doesn't make sense to let him go down if he didn't do it. If he wasn't the driver. If Rodney is my family member and I was in that car behind him and somebody else was driving that car and I know he wasn't driving that car, there's no way you could shut me up. There's no way you could shut me up to be like, nah, he wasn't driving. I would be telling everybody. I would be a problem. Everybody would know that he wasn't driving the car. I'd be like, we were in the car behind him. We left and we were trailing him and somebody else was driving. Nothing would stop me to say that. Nothing would stop me from saying that. Nothing at all, right? So just trying to look at it from both sides. Once again, I'm not trying to give my opinion on it all. I'm just trying to put the information out. As we go further, because I want to shape my opinion based off of as much information as I can gather. So I haven't shaped the final opinion. I do know a lot of foul play is going on. I do know that. I do know that they have to prove why another black man ain't just getting railroaded. Now, we know crimes were committed. We know that. We know the initial crimes with Roney Hinton Jr. as far as the car being stolen and led to the police chasing them. But then Roney Hinton is executed by an officer who originally says that the gun was pointed at him. The gun was pointed at him. We just looked at body cam. I didn't see no gun pointed at him. So Rodney Hinton seeing that, according to the lawyer, he's not in his right mind. And he goes off and he runs into the officer. So said, it could have been a person that may have been suffering from an incurable illness and decided to sacrifice herself for a car. I mean, it's a possibility, but how probable is it? It's a possibility, but what's the probability of that? We can't rule it out, and we got to put everything on the table. So I hear you, Ricardo, excuse me. I hear you, Ricardo. That can't be ruled out. Now, Booker T. Washington says, I don't think someone else is driving. Popo usually arrests everybody involved and not involved sometimes. Got a point. Hold more stuff on the table. Got a point. We're going to sift through it all. Right? Now, what Williams says, what if he's saying he wasn't driving? The media is suppressing that information. Dead people tell. True. We don't know. We're gonna find out. I'm anxious to find out more information. Like, release that damn video of Rodney running, or allegedly Rodney running into the officer. Release the video. That would clear a lot of this stuff up. Release the video. But going back to what was said earlier, don't release none of that Metro PCS video that y'all did with Roney Hinton. I've never seen nothing like that in my life. Don't do that. Says Popo wasn't expecting that $25 million. Hey, look at you. See, I was gonna get to that. So now I'm reading the article. Shout out to Booker T. Watts. See, you was in my mind. You know where I was going, right? So there was a $25 million lawsuit filed, right? And it says, I'm reading from NBC News. And it says, Rodney L. Hinton, the Ohio father who is charged with fatally striking a deputy with his car after his son was killed in a police shooting, filed a federal civil lawsuit seeking $25 million. The lawsuit was filed Thursday, 2 days after a bond hearing where a judge ordered Hinton to be held in connection with the death of Hamilton County Special Deputy Larry Henderson. The lawsuit was amended on Wednesday. Attorney Clyde Bennett, who was representing Hinton in his criminal case, told NBC affiliate WLWT of Cincinnati that the suit was filed. Now, according to the lawyer, so I don't know, y'all might be right. Hinton might do need to get a new lawyer, because according to this, it says the lawyer said, Clyde Bennett said the suit was filed by a woman on Hinton's behalf. Bennett said that according to Bennett in this article, according to Bennett, that Hinton does not support the lawsuit. According to what this article is saying, that Clyde Bennett, attorney Clyde Bennett, who was representing Hinton, is saying that a woman filed the suit on Hinton's behalf. So the suit alleges that Hinton was physically assaulted after police took him into custody on May 2nd, and he appeared visibly beaten during his court hearing. Yes, he did. Of course, yes. We can look and see that Rodney had hands put on him. Like, you can see he was groggy, he was slow moving. He looked like he just been whooped on for a little bit. So they're wanting us to believe that he's being accused of taking out a police officer, and he's going to be taken in, and nothing happens to him. It's going to be all peace, no hands going to be put on him. They want us to believe that. All right. He needs a shrines, and we need his info so we can send them packages and write him letters. True. We need to find more information. It's like right now, I don't know, between the lawyer and the family, a lot of information is not really getting out. So back to the article, though. It also says that multiple officers were present for the hearing, creating an atmosphere of fear, surveillance, and intimidation. Hinton pled not guilty Tuesday to 2 counts of aggravated murder, 1 count of murder, and 2 counts of felonious assault. He is suing for unlawful imprisonment, alleging he was detained unlawfully without due process and without a valid conviction, as well as conspiracy to deprive rights, intimidation, and excessive force, emotional distress, and breach of oath of office. Now, the article is still saying that he is saying, so the article is kind of flip-flopping, because at the beginning it's saying that the lawyer is saying that a woman filed this case, but the article is still reading as if Rodney Hinton filed the lawsuit. The suit is seeking $5 million in compensatory damages and $20 million in punitive damages. The state, the Cincinnati Police Department, and the Hamilton County Sheriff are named as defendants. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office said it had no comment on pending litigation. The other defendants did not immediately respond to a request for a comment on Tuesday. Authorities accused Hinton of intentionally hitting Henderson on May 2nd as the deputy was directing traffic near the University of Cincinnati during graduation events. Henderson, who retired about 5 months ago and was working as a special deputy on that day, died of injuries at a local hospital. At last week's bond hearing, Cincinnati police officer Carl Beebe said Hinton had viewed body camera footage of police shooting involved his son shortly before the collision. Family members said he was upset and agitated after viewing the video, and they had concerns about him driving. Because of their concerns, relatives drove Hinton. Now, this article is saying, because of their concerns, relatives drove Hinton from the station, but he later returned to pick up his, they're saying, but later he turned to pick up his vehicle from the parking lot, the officer said. Furthermore, he drove toward the university and appeared to stop before he allegedly accelerated quickly through the intersection where Deputy Henderson was standing, BB said at the hearing. The vehicle struck the deputy and a utility pole, according to BB, who said there was no indication that Hinton tried to stop. The officer said Henderson was launched several feet through the air and came to rest in a turn lane several feet from where the collision occurred. Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Teague previously said that there was a definite connection between the collision and the May 1st fatal shooting of Hinton's 18-year-old son, Roney Hinton. The teenager was killed by a police officer responding to a report of a stolen vehicle at an apartment complex. According to authorities, the police chief had said that 4 people in the alleged stolen car ran some in different directions as the police approached them. 2 officers pursued Ryan Hinton and another person. Authorities said Ryan Hinton was armed. The firearm was found at the scene. Authorities said the officer fired at least 4 times. Teach said Friday it was actually 5 times. She said she believes the 18-year-old was hit by 2 bullets in the chest and 1 in the arm. So that's that article. And they're talking about the $25 million lawsuit that is being filed either by Rodney Hinton or on behalf of Rodney Hinton, according to this article from NBC News by Minyavon. Minyavon Burke is the person who wrote this article. So why doesn't Hinton's lawyer not want the lawsuit? Hinton didn't file it because Hinton is insane, right? Look at here. Look at here. So, yeah. Good question. Why doesn't he want the lawsuit? Because right now, according to Hinton's lawyer, Hinton didn't file the lawsuit. And Hinton doesn't want the lawsuit. You're correct. According to the lawyer, that's not what he wants. But I don't know, man. I'm starting to look sideways at this lawyer too. And that's why we have to continue to go through the information, because I'm starting to be like, I don't know, man. Looking at this lawyer, man. I don't know, man. I don't know, Mr. Lawyer, man. Yeah, that hazing him to the point he might commit suicide if he's not strong-willed. I believe they giving him the business in the. I believe that. That's one of my first thoughts when I saw that they was bringing him in. I was like, they probably not giving that man business. They're probably trying to do as much as they can to terrorize this man. It's one of my first thoughts about this. After hearing that he's been in custody and everything, now they're probably trying to tear him down mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Like the COs, the correctional officers, the ones who are supposed to be keeping the regulations going, and I bet you they're turning a blind eye to everything that they're doing. A friend named Antoinette Holloway filed a lawsuit on Hinton's behalf. She's from Atlanta. Okay. Antoinette Holloway filed the lawsuit on Hinton's behalf. But once again, you asked a great question though earlier. Why doesn't the lawyer want the lawsuit? What is it about this lawsuit that would be troublesome for what's going on with Rodney Hinton, especially if what's being filed is true? Are these officers terrorizing Rodney Hinton? Is he being terrorized? Because if he is being terrorized, then they need to be punished. Nobody is above the goddamn law. Nobody's above the goddamn law, right? Ricardo says the way those cops looked at Hinton Jr. at the court hearing rules out. Right. They was looking at him like, we gonna fuck him up when we see him. When we get a chance, we gonna fuck him up. That's what they was looking at him like. And they were mad that he wasn't buckling. They were mad that he wasn't cowering. They was mad that he wasn't holding his head down. They were mad that he wasn't intimidated by him. They had a problem with that. We could tell that they had a problem with that because all of them were trying to intimidate him in that courtroom, the way they was looking at him and snarling at him and staring at him and all those things. They were trying to intimidate him, let him know, hey, you mess with the blue up. He was like, and they didn't like that. And I guarantee you that led to a lot more bad treatment. I guarantee you. Rodney Hinton shouldn't plead insanity because the cops could easily use that against him to harm him. Hinton should get rid of his lawyer. I'm not. Look, see, you started. I think you might have started this. You might have started. Shout out to you, S. White. You might have started this. I believe you the one took me down this road. This lawyer is looking lamer than the mug. Yes, I'm not against you, S. White. I think it's your fault, but that's a good thing that we are here analyzing this lawyer the way we should be analyzing this lawyer, because once again, this is my first time being exposed to this lawyer, and the more we go, we're like, come on, Mr. Lawyer, man, you look a little trash now. Okay, you know what? I just remembered, S. White. I think you're right. kick that damn lawyer down the street. So I was watching the lead attorney's video earlier today. Shout out to the lead attorney. And because I was interested in what the lead attorney had to say about this, and what he had to say about the lawyer, because the thumbnail was indicating that Rodney Hinton Jr. needed to fire his lawyer. You just made me remember that. So one of the first things that the lead attorney was pointing out that was trash about Rodney Hinton's lawyers is that they couldn't even remember the name of Ryan Hinton's mother. They couldn't remember they didn't know the names of the family members off top. That they had to look down at the paper to remember the names of the family members who were in support of Ryan Hinton. One of the lawyers kept referencing to someone, to another male who was a family member on the stage with Ryan Hinton's mother. They kept referring to another man, another family member, as Rodney Hinton, as Ryan Hinton's father. They kept saying, his father is here on the stage. His father is here on the stage. His father is here on the stage. They kept saying that. After acknowledging that Rodney Hinton Jr. was in custody because of the incident with him running into the police officer. So after acknowledging that Rodney Hinton Jr. is in custody, they are still saying Rodney Hinton Jr. is on this stage. The father is on this stage. And then the family was not prepared for the press conference. The family and the lawyers were not on the same page. The lawyers were basically trying to say that the officers were working in malice, and the officers were basically just totally against Rodney Hinton. And the officer was saying that, Rodney Hinton's granddad, Ryan Hinton's grandfather messed up the whole press conference because the lawyer didn't prep them. They were not prepared for the press conference by the lawyers who supposedly representing Rodney Hinton Jr. Well, who are representing Rodney Hinton Jr. The lawyers didn't prepare the family for the press conference. So the lawyers are saying one thing, that the cops are working in malice. The grandfather is saying the cops were not working in malice. The cops were afraid of their lives, because they're talking specifically about what happened with Ryan Hinton, right? But with the officer pewing Ryan Hinton, the lawyer is saying the officer was working in malice. The grandfather said, well, he was afraid for his life. My grandson was afraid for his life. The officer was afraid for his life. And everybody need to have Jesus in their heart and have love in their heart and all these things. So the grandfather is saying this, and the lawyer is saying this. No preparation. Why are y'all not on the same page? S. White, see what you started? I appreciate you for starting that. You the realest. So I appreciate you for starting that. Rodney Hinton has 2 fundraisers. One has raised $46K out of a $50K goal. Okay. So we need to make sure we look up the fundraisers for Rodney Hinton. It's a lot of crazy stuff. But yes, like these lawyers, man, his lawyers are trash. They are trash. Now that I'm thinking about everything that we're putting on the table, they are kind of trash. They do need to fire them lawyers. They need to get people who's going to better represent what's going on. So they're going to try to go for the insanity plea. I don't believe he's going to be able to get that insanity plea. I don't, especially not the way the lawyer is presenting things. And from what I remember of different, because I've been watching videos of this all week, about this case all week, and I'm afraid for Rodney Hinton's freedom because of his defense team. And I was in the conversation with some of my colleagues earlier when I was at work. We wasn't doing no work. I ain't gonna lie. We wasn't doing no real work. We was out there talking. We was having fun, but we was getting it done, but we was talking more than anything. But we're talking about this case, and I get what one of the young ladies was saying about she wants Rodney to be able to use the insanity plea because white people are able to use the insanity plea. And I hear you, but Rodney ain't white, and Rodney not gonna get the grace that white people get. And also, if his lawyer is trash, it's not gonna help. The lawyer didn't do the family any preparation. Interview was ass. Because I'm sitting there listening to it, like the lawyers are way over here, and the granddad is way over here. I forgive everybody, and I want Jesus to love everybody. And the officer was afraid for his life. My grandson was afraid for his life. Everybody was afraid for his life. I want everybody to spread love and love Jesus and do all these things here. And the lawyer just got through saying, well, the police officers were trying to take him out. The police officers was not trying to help. The police officers was on a mission to hunt. Police officers don't like black. Now, I'm not saying that the lawyer said those things, but it was in the realm of that. I'm paraphrasing like a mug, right? So, but that's kind of the lane is the police officers were working off of evil intentions. Grandfather, he was scared. So yeah. Say, what is all this forgiveness? Man, look, the grandfather, I just sure want everybody to come together and love everybody and hold hands. What did Dr. Martin Luther King say about the content of people's characters? And if you love everybody, we just gonna come on and get along, and we can get, because I want people to learn from this case. I want people to heal from this case. That's what the grandfather was sounding like. And it's like, that's not gonna happen. We haven't seen stuff like that happen before. So yes, as white, shout out to you, shout out to Booker T. Washington, shout out to Ricardo, shout out to William Lewis, shout out to Shay, shout out to who else? Aaron Frazier, shout out to LL, shout out to Battle Axe, shout out to Maurice July, shout out to Tiffany B, shout out to Chisel Chipper 68, everybody tuning in to the live, everybody commenting. Hey, Juanita Kathy, she don't like my background music, so she ain't subscribing. You know what Joe Biden said? I like my background music. That's all that matter. We gonna have more background music now. Yes, they did. Yes, they. We just watched the video. He was running away from the officer. And the officer pew-pewed him. So now, once again, a video that I was watching earlier from an ex-police officer was saying that those police officers are probably gonna try to use the angle of there was an officer pursuing another suspect, and Ryan Hinton was behind the officer with the gun. So he took him out to protect the other officer. Meanwhile, stone cold white guys pointing guns, assault rifles, loaded, cop ready to go assault rifles at police officers and still being able to be taken. White people can commit mass shootings, mass murder, mass terrorism, and still be taken. And nothing, they'd be taken alive. But those cops are trying to say that they feel like their lives were in danger. Now, at first they told us the gun was pointed at the cop, but we didn't see any gun being pointed at the cop, unless they're gonna try to say, well, when he was between the garbage cans, he pointed the gun at the cop. But so you're gonna point the gun at the cop like this? Because I know somebody earlier was saying, well, the barrel could be raised slightly, and as long as the barrel, and I get that, I understand that. As long, you don't have to directly at the cop, and you can pull the barrel up, and I get all that. But can we prove that? Can that be proved? Because that video sucks. We can't tell nothing in that trash ass video. We do see Ryan Hinton on the ground. There appears to be something black in his hand, but we don't know exactly what that was. But when he got up off the ground, was that in his hand? Ricardo was saying a UC cop popped him straight in his back. He had no gun in his hand that I saw. So, you know what I want to do? Let's
phenomenal day today. Nigger League Museum.
That's that. I'm coming back to that clip next week, but let's come back to this video one more time. Man, it's all good. We know what you're talking about, my brother. It's all good because we in here cooking. We in here cooking right now. We thinking. And I appreciate your input because we in here thinking. We in here cooking, putting this stuff together. So let's look at this body cam footage one more time.
Other news tonight, Cincinnati police are sharing body camera video of the moments that led to an officer-involved shooting and killing of a suspect in East.
It looks like that part of the footage is a lot more clearer than what we are going to be looking at.
Price Hill.
And WLWT News 5's Danielle Dindak has been leading the way on this investigation for us. She's live right now, walking us through the video. Hi, Danielle.
Hi there, Mike. This video is very fast. We're talking about 6 seconds. 6 seconds from the time that officer got out of his vehicle and fired those shots. I do want to warn you, what you're about to watch could be hard to see.
He's got a gun. He's got a gun on your right. On your right.
In a matter of seconds. It all began with a stolen vehicle, a Kia from Edgewood, Kentucky. GPS tracking led the investigation here, a condo complex in East Price Hill. Officers arrived and Chief Terry Thiege explains what happened next.
All four individuals get out and start running.
On your right. On your right.
Some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand.
At some point.
So right here at this point, he's on the ground, and it appears that something may be in his hand, but this video is so damn trash we can't even really tell.
The person with the gun slips.
They heard the metal from the firearm hit the.
So according to this lady, they heard them when he slipped and hit the ground. They heard the metal, so that's what allowed that officer to have his attention on Ryan Hinton. Because they did give us bad video. We've never seen bad police video like that before. I watched too much police cam video. You're gonna try to sell me on that one. Too much police cam video. It looked like William. It looked like Rodney Hinton's lawyers are not on his side. It definitely looks like that. Attorney Clyde, his name Clyde. His name is Clyde. So, Attorney Clyde Bennett smell like a damn scammer. What did you, please, where did you find that video, Ricardo? Please email me, ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. Please email me, ontheshoulders1@gmail.com. Please email me that clear video. I need to see that clear video. We need to see that clear video.
Concrete. This individual gets up, still has a firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters.
The officer who fired the shots was chasing another suspect before he made contact with the armed suspect.
The officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the officer. And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
4 to 5 rounds were fired. The suspect was hit twice, given medical care right away.
And he's in this flight position. Oh, let me make it bigger again. I can't tell if anything is in his hand at this moment. I can't tell. Even if we go back to where they're showing where he was on the ground, Let me let that play again.
Tracking led the investigation here, a condo complex in East Price Hill. Officers arrived, and Chief Terry Thiege explains what happened next.
All 4 individuals get out and start running.
On your right.
Some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand.
At some point,
once again, we can't even tell if anything is in either hand, because it could be he's on the ground, hands are flat, and he's trying to get himself up off the ground, and there's nothing in his hand. I know they're pointing at his right hand, but can we really tell if something is in his hand? We can't see that. We can't see that. They've already lied about him pointing the gun at the officers, but we can't tell if something is in his hand. All right, people.
the person with the gun slips.
They heard the metal from the firearm hit the concrete. This individual gets up, still has the firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters.
The officer who fired the shots was chasing another suspect before he made contact with the armed suspect.
The officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the officer.
We didn't see that. I hear what you're saying, lady. I hear what you're saying, but we can't see that in the video. And then you're telling us what they said, what you're telling us what the cops said. The video ain't really supporting that. Hell, the video ain't supporting nothing because it's trash. This is what y'all gave us, though. It's what y'all gave us. Do they really believe they can spin the public or we're dumb? Well, yes, they do believe we're dumb. They do believe we're dumb. I mean, a lot. Come on, man. Like Booker, you know, a lot of people ain't bright. So they do believe we're dumb. They do believe the general public is dumb. They do. They do. But we not dumb over here. We be thinking over here. We use critical thinking skills over here. That wasn't the cop who shot him. It was a UC, an undercover whose body cam was running when he got out the car, and when he shot Ryan Hinton, they left the UC cops. Undercover, overcovers, by the covers. And I get what you're saying. I'm just making fun, but yes, but it's still a police officer. It's still an undercover, but still, he was taken out by this person. He's taken out by this law enforcement officer. So, and it doesn't appear that there was a gun in his hand as he was coming through those garbage cans. He said, bro, Taylor Publishing House have a better video of Ryan Hinton running and the undercover cop and playing SUV wearing jean pants. Richard Taylor have his picture in the history of his career as a cop. Okay. Write that down. Taylor Publishing. You said Richard Taylor. All right. There it is. Appreciate that, S. White. Appreciate that. Let me do a little quick little Google search. Richard Taylor. All right, Richard Taylor, Cincinnati, Ohio. Let me see what we got. They also said no use. They also said no undercovers were on this. That made me suspicious after I saw the clip. Gotcha. That's what. Did you see a pew pew in his hand in that video? Good question. Good question. I want to see that video. Said Taylor Publishing House has it. That's a good question. Taylor Publishing House. Lynchburg, North Carolina. All right, I'm writing all this down. Borough, North Carolina. Gotcha. All right. We definitely gonna get into. We got a lot more homework to do on this. That's why. Man, I ain't gonna lie. I'm having a blast on these lives with you all. That's why we do what we do. That's why I like doing this. Cause let's go ahead and let's dig through this. Let's find out what's actually happening. Let's not just take information as face value. Let's dig through it. Let's use critical thinking and let's use sound reasoning. Make sure we can get to the bottom of it. What we did learn is Clyde is trash. Clyde could be a part of the bigger issue where Rodney Hinton doesn't get everything. Rodney Hinton doesn't get true representation because his lawyers is trash. So he might end up getting railroaded by this system. The more I think about the lawyer, the more angry I get, the more incompetent he becomes to me. So on the shoulders one@gmail.com. I got to get ready to wrap this up because I got to go wash clothes and stuff. I still got some more stuff to do before I end my day, and I gotta go wash these clothes. But any more information you come across, please email me. On the shoulders one@gmail.com is my website. My email address. Please send me the information because we wanna put all the information on the table. We want to find everything and make sure we know exactly what we're talking about. And we got some facts out here, some truth out here, so we can make sure that we can do what we can to be on the side of Rodney Hinton Jr. We already believe that we're here because of foul play by police officers. A police officer being scary and trying to say that his life was in danger. And so because of the fact that he said his life was in danger, Rodney Hinton Jr. is not here. And then Rodney Hinton Jr. comes into the picture because he saw a video of his son being executed by a police officer. And according to Rodney Hinton Jr.'s lawyer, was not in his right mind as he got behind the wheel of a car and took out a police officer. But we know we don't trust Rodney Hinton's lawyer, Clyde. We don't trust you, Clyde. And that's not good for Rodney Hinton Jr. Like I said last week, I ain't mad at Rodney. I'm not mad at it. Everything America has done to us, I'm not mad at him. Especially if his son was, because his son could still be alive. Son, that's just the end of it. He still could be alive. So I don't know, America. You gotta atone. If you think people just gonna sit around and let things happen, that's not the way. But on the other end, black people, we still got a job to do as a collective. We can't just sit back and be cheerleaders. We still got a job to do as a collective. What are we going to do to better protect ourselves, empower ourselves, unite ourselves, and be a better group of people as a whole? Because right now we're only looking at those small enclaves. Only looking at small enclaves of people that can actually do something, that we'll actually trust to do something. But that's not enough. We definitely got black fatigue. We definitely have black fatigue. And please check out our Friday breakdown where we cover black fatigue and we cover how white people have now hijacked black fatigue. Because black fatigue started out, actually before black fatigue, racial battle fatigue was coined in 2003. Racial battle fatigue, then black fatigue Black people are tired of dealing with the system of racism and white supremacy. Now black fatigue has been hijacked by white folk and MAGA to say that they're tired of black people complaining. They're tired of black people niggering it up, being ratchet and all these different things. They're tired of that with black people. So that's the flipping of black fatigue, when black fatigue originally was coined by a black woman to say that we are tired of white people, tired of the system of racism, dealing with it all day, every day. This is another example. You're right. Black fatigue. You're right. So make sure y'all hit that like button. Hit that like button. If you haven't hit that like button, please hit that like button. It does help the algorithm. It helps more people be able to see these videos, more people get this information, and help more support. Help me support more people, and more people be able to support what I got going on. Shout out to my Black History School, all my young scholars at the Black History School. Shout out to the parents who help support the Black History School. I appreciate you all. Shout out to everybody who supports On the Shoulders of Giants. Let me go through and make sure I can give all of my shout outs properly. Shout out to Tiffany. You already know what it is, baby. You already know what it is. Give a shout out to, come on up now. Stop playing. Give a shout out to Gary Hall. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support, Mr. Gary Hall. Shout out to Cheryl Tate. Of course, shout out to me, Kim. Everybody who support. Oh yeah, and my pop's birthday was the other day. My pop's birthday was the 13th. So happy birthday to my pop. Shout out to my pops. He's a real one. I love my pops. Appreciate everything you've done. My pop's birthday, so y'all make sure y'all give my pop a shout out. His birthday was the 13th. And my brother's birthday is coming up on the 20th. So y'all give my brother a shout out as well. Love you as well, my brother. And that's how we doing it. So let's keep pushing this thing. We're working to get to 100,000 subscribers. This is On the Shoulders of Giants. All of you continue. Let's make sure we continue to be the best versions of ourselves. Not to just be black just in tone of skin, but consciousness, our mind state. We're making sure we are being the best versions of ourselves, elevating ourselves, doing what we can to make our community better, not living in the land of delusion, but living in reality and making sure that we have real tangible outcomes to truly empower ourselves and not just talk about things that makes us feel good. So with that being said, one more time, hit that like button. If you don't hit that like button and you don't like black people and you support Clyde and all that other crazy stuff that's going on. I love you all once again. Thank you, Ricardo, William S. White, Booker T. Washington, William Lewis, Tiffany. I appreciate you, S. White. Shay, I appreciate you commenting. Who else? Aaron Frazier, LL, Battle Axe, Maurice July. Juanita Cathy says she ain't like my music, but I appreciate you for commenting anyway. What kind of music should I have in the background, Juanita? You know I'm gonna talk junk. I talk junk. And Chisel Chipper 68, Chisel Chipper 68 was the first person to show up. Appreciate you. I love you all. This is a movement that won't stop. We're gonna get on code. Remember, talk about getting on code or being on code. I'm knocking stuff down, struggle streaming over here. Getting on code or being on code. Remember to visit thepax.org. Thepax.org, because we have a code of conduct that we created that we can spread. We're not saying it is the end all be all, but it's a code of conduct that we have. So make sure y'all, I know, right? It's a Mozart, like, all right. So with that being said, you're right. Ain't no way we should allow white people, because we should be policing ourselves. But we got to get our stuff together. That's why we do what we do. But I got to get out of here because I got to go wash these clothes and end this day. I love you all. Let's make sure we continue being the greatest versions of ourselves. Black power to all of you all. Catch you on